we had seen the Pact and liked the Pact a lot. It's not like an open movie for a sequel. It doesn't feel like that necessarily. You know, the first movie really is about Annie and her mother and their relationship to the past and everything else. And so we got to thinking like, well, the Ginny Glick character is so strong. What if we spun a sequel out of like her life and what she went through? Maybe Judas had impregnated someone, that maybe he did have another daughter. It's only kind of vaguely implied in the first film, but it's, I mean, if you watch the movie twice, it's clear. Annie is Judas's daughter. And so we got to thinking that he's on a murder spree up and down the coast. He's probably doing all kinds of things. And then we started thinking about how there's really this love triangle in the first movie between Charles Barlow, Ginny Glick, and Annie's mother, Ginny Glick's best friend.
Okay, and action. Starting from scratch with the Pact 2, we wanted to make a film that the fans from the original would respond to very well. Initially, once having figured how we can make it all work out plot-wise, we set about the task of injecting it with the unique flavor that we bring to it.
Slow down here, she's facing that way. She turns, cut to this with the real knife.
The way it started is that they just said, give us a pitch. They didn't say, we want the Pact 2 to be the story of this, 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 and this. It was like, they started with the central idea, we went away with it, we came back with an outline, they gave us notes on the outline. That kept modifying. And by the time we got to the first shooting draft, the project was really built from the ground up, even though it was a sequel. It was really built from the ground up by Patrick, myself, and the producers at Preferred Content.
Dallas and Patrick really helped to get me excited about the movie.
Okay, so let's pause there, and let me get you back in place, and we'll let Boyd do it.
And they both had the same vision always. They never argued over points like you would expect two directors or writers to do. They were in agreement with everything. It was really great to have both of them there all the time.
And as soon as Carmen gets close to you, you can do that flip around to the door.
When you're shooting something, or if I have a question, I can ask the other one. They were one head, so it wasn't confusing. I wasn't getting like two different viewpoints of things. Like they're very much on the same plane.
When Dallas and I are on set, we're essentially the same dude split into two.
There's no obvious way to direct a film together. The first time you co-direct, you have to have a plan. Like, I will tell the actors where to stand, you tell them how to feel. Then once we got to set on the Pact 2, or once we even, like during the pre-production and the casting, we never once talked about, what's your role, what's my role?
Does that ruin our light gag? Because we don't like it.
No, it doesn't. It's more logical.
If you ever see us interact on set, Dallas is a great communicator.
Close this, start doing resistance. So camera is here. So this is
And the dude will essentially be the first guy to talk, say something, whatever. He's a handsome looking guy, and I have no problems letting this man make a first impression because he's terrific at it.
It's not something that you can just do. You can't just go co-direct a movie with me as some random person. You have to have gone through a lot of time together, and you have to have done a smaller movie like we did Entrance and like talk it out. We disagree. We are different people, but we battle those things out before coming to set.
When we meet June Abbott, she is living with her boyfriend, who seems to adore her. She works actually cleaning up crime scenes, which is a very interesting line of work for her, but I think it actually speaks to who she is. And then we see that she has a very close relationship with her mother, who is very dependent on her and is going through rehab.
Hey, how was it?
Not bad. Terry relapsed, but we saw that coming.
And she kind of uses June as an emotional crutch, and I think that makes June feel as if she can't emotionally be unstable herself. She seems to really channel her emotions through her illustrating.
We originally had sat down with Camilla just to say hey and what's up and meet her and see how we got along. And it was pretty immediate that we saw eye to eye on a lot of stuff, and she was game for anything, and that was terrific. Camilla was like every day on set, ready to grab in the emotional bag and pull out what she needed to get the scene done. Making anything is tough. And of course, going through this, there were days that were rougher than others.
God damn it!
Shit out of me!
The movie really pushes her to her limits. She's not sleeping anymore. Her mother is in danger, and she goes to a stranger. She goes to Annie Barlow, and that becomes her confidant.
What if it's not a copycat? What if it's something else? What if somehow he found a way to come back?
They form a very interesting bond, and I think they trust each other, and I think they're both equally very closed off people, so it's nice to see that friendship develop between them through the film.
Who wants us to go upstairs?
God damn it, I hate this shit.
Well, when we sat down and pitched like the first thing for what the Pact 2 was gonna be, it was like, all right, so Annie's back, and it's like all Annie, and they were like, that's, you know, that sounds great and everything, but no, we're pretty sure we're not gonna be able to get Katie back, so like at the most we might be able to get her a day, and we all thought that was fine, that would be great, and you know, back to the drawing table, and so we did a complete rethink of what this would be. And then the first, like, honest-to-goodness pitch of what the Pact 2 ended up being was having what would be Camilla Luddington's character, June, the main driving force of this film.
You know this girl?
It's Annie. Annie Barlow.
Oh, I thought you didn't know her. I thought you said...
Annie, this is Danielle.
There's a lot of preconceived notions of what you're gonna have. You know, one of the biggest ones is you gotta have your returning characters. So from the Pact, we had both Haley and Katie coming back.
See, you can't see the whole picture because...
Steve,
Annie,
stop.
you're...
Stop.
Wait,
No.
no, Stevie, wait, because...
Originally, the idea was that, you know, the thing that kicks off the third act, we need this murder, and this murder's gotta be something, you know, important. It has to be substantial. It can't be a throwaway murder, and again, like, we wanted everything to count. So we had originally had it that, you know, Haley would be murdered. As we went along in the development and talking with Haley, you know, the concept of having Stevie die was this huge concept for her. Like, it was something that she was wrestling around with, and so much so that she voiced concern about it, and we got to looking at the whole piece. At the same time, we also find out that Katie Lotz can be in the film more, and so we decided to step back and take a moment to look at the material and say, like, okay, well, let's imagine a world where we have more Annie in the screenplay.
Break it up, guys. Break it up.
And then rethinking this whole thing, we brought Annie in more. We basically pitch Annie's death as the third act death.
We'll say push, and you got the door locked now, and then you can stab.
And it definitely wasn't like a immediate, like, all right, like, because I don't know if anybody wants to immediately, you know, see what this thing that they've invested so much into get dispatched on screen, right?
Well, dying, I don't know. I'm gonna learn how to like it more because I'm dying all the time and things, and you're like, well, you might as well like it. I guess it's just weird, like you feel kind of weird because you're like, whatever you're doing, and then, okay, act like you're dying, and you're like, it's always a funny thing to do. And I was like, okay, let's do it, like, it'll be fun. And I was like, but then no Pact 3.
That was great. We'll do like that right away.
Well, I was a huge fan of the first movie, so I was really excited for her to come to set, and we were kind of sharing almost war stories of like, oh, did you have to do this, and what did this feel like, and what was this moment like?
In the Pact 1, it was like every scene I was almost by myself, so it was cool to be able to work with Camilla.
And she was inspiring to me because she had done the process and she'd kicked butt on it and she'd done an amazing job. So I sort of looked to her as someone that had been through the Judas Killer experience.
Here, I'll stop that while you're doing. I need another battery.
Pomona is a small community about 45 minutes from Los Angeles. We went to Pomona for a cheap house. Theoretically, we could go to Pomona and get a big, old, spooky house that was big enough to shoot in, big enough for a crew to deal with, but would be half the price of LA. A great thing about the look of Pomona was that it was so different than the look of San Pedro. And we wanted it to feel like June Abbott was completely separated from her mysterious, unknown family. Because if we shot it in San Pedro, or even somewhere that felt like LA, then it might have felt like, why didn't she ever run into her real sister? You know, we needed it to feel like it was believable that this mysterious other life was kind of hanging there.
One thing that people should know about Pomona is that in the summer, it gets to, I don't want to say, above 100 degrees. Some of my memories of Pomona are in a hazmat suit, sweating like an ungodly amount. Sometimes Pomona was tough.
Is this my guys?
Carmen Cabana was a complete spitfire. So we're going into pre-production and we find out that we lost our DP. And so we had to interview a new host of people. And then out of the woodwork comes Carmen Cabana. And she has this amazing hair and she has this amazing personality and she's a lover of all things horror. We also want to be looking down this way at her when the cops come in.
Okay, cool.
And surprise her.
So
She's bringing this whole new flavor to it that's slightly unconventional and in the most interesting ways. One of the best things we had going for us in the production was how much that crew hustled, and you could tell that they were doing it out of respect for Carmen.
Very well. It is master. Very good. Slave. Now we're gonna get a beautiful excerpt for the movie.
Once we're already in Pomona, once we have our whole crew there, it made more sense to look for other locations around Pomona as opposed to, like, you know, coming back to LA.
Very close to this, where we were shooting the main house, we found a YMCA that was built, I think it was built in the 20s. So we go and location scout this huge thing, and it essentially had like every type of, you know, setting that we could want at that point.
So it's this big, gigantic, abandoned YMCA building, but every door you'd open would lead you to like a completely different look.
The suicide room that kicks off the movie, we needed the police lobby and the office for Ballard. We needed the pink room setting. So it had offered up the potential for having all these things.
Okay, let's take a look.
Within the first like 20 minutes of scouting it, the main caretaker tells us that the place is haunted. He tells us that there's definitely spirits there checking us out, and it's cool, they're cool with us being there.
Roy, the caretaker, who also lived there, did tell us that it was haunted. I personally did not have any interactions with ghosts. Occasionally, according to Roy, there would be young people either smoking dope or taking advantage of one another in the alley next to the Y, and the ghost would wake him up so that he could go catch the kids and kick them off the property.
There's this incredibly disturbing downstairs part to the entire place.
Let's see what's back.
I'm not going first.
All these lockers.
Yeah.
I think there's a weight room down there. There's a drained pool.
Be careful.
Even our DP and like other moments of the crew, like when we were on lunch or like even after we had wrapped for the day, they would still work and be shooting like a whole nother short because there was just that much rad stuff there.
Catch it in.
This was my first time working on a low-budget horror movie. I grew up loving horror movies. I think Halloween was one of the first movies I had ever seen. I was way too young to be watching it. You can't push a scene to another day. There isn't that time. You have to make it work. And so what that means is that the cast and crew really have to be on it all the time, and they were. We had to do an enormous amount of pages every single day, And I think that if anyone wasn't excited about the movie, it would have been obvious because everyone needed to be on it, and they were.
When Dallas and I first started out making films together, we decided from the outset, possibly I could be the more visual person and you'll be the more sort of actor person, and then we'll kind of attack it that way. And then as soon as we started working together, a lot of those compartments dissolve away and we fall back on this shared vision that sort of precipitated our original friendship. It's not out of the question for us to both go and then like realize that we just came up with something and it's the same thing. So I think that is honestly at the heart of how we work as a team.
Don't even say it. You didn't know about the monkey, right? No.
Don't watch the movie, save yourself.
No, it's
You know, when you go to make a sequel, it's very important to examine the atmosphere and the vibe of the original, and as well as the plot, but you want to move into your sequel and you don't want to betray those aspects of the original. At the same time, if you don't find a way to incorporate your own voice into it, then we feel that audiences feel that their time has been wasted because they haven't been given a fresh take. One of the things I'm most proud of about the Pact 2 is that through what was a wonderful process of collaboration, Pat and I were able to create this film that essentially is our own voice.
In the dark, I call your name. You take my hand. You hold me tight. I pull you in to the dark. Hereafter.
Hi, baby. Can you see Mommy?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Can you see me now, baby?
Yeah? Mommy, who's that behind you?
I'm really worried about Nicole. I don't know where she is.
Hey, Nicole! Nicole?
I need your help. I can communicate with the other side, but you've got to go back in the house.
You lived 16 years in this house. You have no memory of this room.
Oh, God.
Jamie, what did you see? It's where they go! Where they go! Down, 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 below!
Oh, God. Hello? Is this June Abbott? I have a message for you. It's starting again.
What?
June, this is Annie Barlow.
Someone's picking up where Charles Barlow left off. If this is anything like what I dealt with, you should get out of here.
What if somehow he found a way to come back?
He's trying to show us something.
He wants us to go upstairs.
What is that?
Annie?
Sé que está siendo un largo camino, pero estamos cerca. Aguantarás. Si tu madre hubiera sido solo la mitad de fuerte que tú, y ya sabes que esas pobres criaturas nos necesitan, te necesitan.
¿Tú nunca la echas de menos?
Supongo que sí, aunque nunca fue fácil convivir con ella. Era débil, no era como tú, Alba.
Pues quizás alguien debería ir llamando a la policía.
Estuvieron encerrados aquí durante varios días. Acabaron comiendo rata.
Estamos salvados.
Él quería enterrarnos en vida.
Lleva días diciendo que un ángel la visita por las noches. Tranquilízate, Susana. No hay nadie más aquí. Esto no me gusta nada. ¿Crees que les hace daño?
En ocasiones una persona es elegida para un fin excepcional y eso, como en tu caso, la convierte en alguien especial. No te confíes, Alba.
Credo in nonnum Dei.
Noto su presencia.
Adiós.
¡En el nombre del Señor! ¡Sal de aquí!
¡Sal de aquí!
¡No! ¡No!
Anc universam et gloriam illiorum chiamitra dictatur.
No vais a destruir su obra.
Just going to give you an introduction to the equipment that we've got here. This one here, the smaller one, is the Bounty Hunter.
If you do an internet search on the Rendlesham Forest incident, 1980, animals were going nuts, right? The screaming sound. Here we are in Rendlesham Forest. Just waiting for it to get dark, do a bit of night walking. It's a weird hole. So, what is it? What's that GPS doing? You got a signal? You brought us out to MOD land.
Not particularly clever, I know.
So I'm starting to wonder if it ain't getting to you, mate.
What are you talking about?
Telepathy, mind control. Gus, what's going on? Look at that. It's coming down.
Get back!
Jesus.
I'm Dr. Dane Prentice. Please have a seat.
Steve.
I've seen you go from a straight A student to a junkie.
We love you very much. We can't stand by and watch you destroy yourself.
Carson, you're a really good friend. We used to have so much fun together.
This girl's got real secrets. Check out the creepy dollhouse.
Find anything good?
I know how you feel. You just don't know how to stop. That's what addiction is.
You don't know what this is.
Using drugs keep down that evil, violent feeling.
I saw those books in your room about demonic possession. Believe in that stuff?
Do you?
Codex Demonis. It's the book of the devil.
Sometimes her eyes, it's like nobody's home.
I'm trying to warn
I
you.
appreciate it. Welcome to Hope Center.
You're gonna be okay.
You're in the right place.
It gets worse before it gets better.
Let me talk to the demon. Here, demon.
Tina misses you in hell.
What?
And she's waiting. You fixed her last shot.
How do you know about Tina?